Welcome back to the History of Humanics podcast. You are listening to episode 3, and I am joined today by Dr. Anthony Hill, Associate Professor of Social Work at Springfield College, and you were the Distinguished Professor of Humanics. It feels like a long time ago, really wasn't that long ago, back in the 2018-2019 school year. So I thank you for joining me today, and how are you doing? How are you?
Wonderful, Daniel. Good to see you. Thank you for having me. This is a pleasure and an honor to be here.
I appreciate it. So the first thing I wanted to get into with you today was talking about your time as Distinguished Professor of Humanics. You were focused on healthy masculinity. That was one of the big themes of your time as the Professor of Humanics. So for the people listening, could you kind of explain your definition of that term and why it was such an important thing for you to focus on when you were the Professor of Humanics?
Thank you, Daniel. My topic in my project for my year as the humanities professor was healthy masculinity. At that point in time, I was working with the Men of Excellence on campus. So I did a series of workshops with them, really targeting and looking at what does it mean to be a male, and being a college male, and just some traditional ways of expressing masculinity or being a male. And there's some strengths and there's some challenges of that. So really had a chance to really talk to the young men about how do they present themselves, who they are as a man, and what type of man they want to become. In addition to working with the Men of Excellence, I also worked with the city of Springfield. There was an initiative called 100 Males to College. And that was a collaboration between Western New England, Westfield State University, UMass Amherst, and Springfield Technical Community College. And I was working with the founder of this program was Dr. Yolanda Johnson, who is the student support. She's in charge of all of the counselors. So she is the executive director of student support services for the city of Springfield Public Schools. And this initiative started with her in collaboration with the Department of Higher Ed, but really looking at these young men, all high schools, and really examining the data and seeing that these young men were falling through the cracks. So this was a program that I've been involved with for the last 4 to 5 years, and talking to them about who they are, what type of man they are, what type of man they want to be, really thinking about what they want their life to look like in 5 years, 10 years from now, and the value and importance of education. So I also conducted a series of workshops with them. This program would also take them to a variety of college campuses. In fact, they came to Springfield College and did a workshop here dealing with healthy masculinity. A workshop was done where all 100 strong came to the campus, got a chance to see Springfield College and participate in activities that sort of tell them about their trajectory, about where they want to be. So this program would help students go on to the various college campuses. I mentioned Springfield College, but they also went to Westfield State, where they did overnight, so that they had a chance to experience what it was like living in the dorm, eating cafeteria food, also meeting students and attending some classes. Also went to UMass Amherst and also had several programs at Springfield Technical Community College as well. So that's pretty much what I focused in on, really talking about the man box and what happens if you do not subscribe to traditional aspects of being a male, and really looking at what type of man do they want to be. Also, as a humanities professor, there is an organization called a Call to Men. So as a result of my humanics um, project, I had a chance to go to a 2-day training so I could be equipped to learn the importance of, looking at a curriculum of healthy masculinity and really talking about what are the hazards of this toxic culture of really focusing in on violence, not expressing emotions, and not asking for help. So really talking to men, hearing from them. I did a lot of workshops on looking at music and the images and the messages being portrayed through music, but ultimately talking to them about the importance and value of education, the importance and value of asking for help, the importance and value of expressing and sharing their emotions, not just anger, but the whole wide range of emotions, and also being supportive. So in this 100 Nails to College initiative, it really became a brotherhood. So that was a great program to be a part of, and I was really glad to be a part of that program for 4 to 5 years. But I really made that my major thrust, that along with the Men of Excellence here on the Springfield College campus. Ironically, I also worked with a group at one of the high schools, Renaissance High School, and they formed the male group as well. And ironically, they called themselves the Men of Excellence. And this was very powerful because the Men of Excellence group on the college campus here on SC met with the Men of Excellence group. They came for a day, and I was very impressed with the Men of Excellence here at SC. They structured the entire day, took these young men, probably about 12 to 15 young men from the high school, took them on a college tour. They ate lunch here, and they had very engaging activities. And really reached out to them and supported them. And these young men didn't even realize the value of Springfield College, which is right in their community. It's so close to their homes, of seeing it up close and personal. So I was very proud of the Men of Excellence members of SC, really mentoring and sharing their own experiences, and really provided so much hope for the young men at Renaissance High School here in the city of Springfield.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. For people listening, whether they're aware or not, you're from Springfield yourself. You've pretty much been around this area for most of your life. So having the opportunity to do different things with local area kids, like the work you did at East Campus, and have a chance to work with those kids, did that mean a little extra from you because you kind of came from the same area as them? I think it's always nice to be able to work with local kids and be a mentor and a role model for them. So was that the case for you?
Absolutely. Not only am I from Springfield, but I also attended undergrad at Springfield. So for me, having the opportunity to, I live in the community, I attended Springfield College. You know, I've never been to a place where I've seen so many triangles in all my life, but this humanics philosophy, you know, of spirit, mind, and body, and leadership and service. So I'm very fortunate and proud of my Springfield College education. I think it really shaped me to be a healthy man, and really crucial in my development. And for me to be able to come back and work here is very special for me. Not that Springfield College is perfect or a panacea. We have some challenges, just like we have challenges in the world. But for me to come back here and give back to this institution is really meaningful to me. And this is my 9th year here. Um, the ropes courses that you're referring to did not occur. Maybe it did occur. I'm not sure. Um, During my humanics year, I think it was the year previous, but that was really an amazing opportunity because when you talk about ropes courses, the students are like, ropes courses, what's that? I don't want to be a part of that. But we had 60 to 70 students in inner city Springfield, and at the end, engaging in cooperative learning activities and games, and you really had a chance to see young men who weren't sort of vocal, but so someone who were introverted but were really good thinkers, and just to see how influential they were in solving some of the games and activities. So that was very gratifying. And then at the very end of the program, they were like, "Hey, mister, when are we coming back? We love this." So there was some reticence. They were like, "Oh my goodness, why do we have to do this?" You know, they were afraid of wild animals and being out in the woods, but it really broadened their horizons about nature, about just coming together. And for me, to see the leadership qualities in young men that you normally would not see as leaders because they weren't vocal, really people begin to see them, their peers begin to see them in a different light and have a level of respect for them. So, yes, being a part of Springfield, and to be honest with you, I didn't know much about Springfield College. Again, it was John Wilson who came to my high school and told me about it. I'm the proud recipient of the Jesse Park Scholarship. And this education at Springfield College has truly transformed my life. And this humanics philosophy, now we talk a lot about self-care, but this issue of the spirit, mind, and body, and this really being in nature and being in balance is so crucial, especially during the very complex and turbulent world we live in today.
Yeah, absolutely. And one group you've already mentioned a few times so far is the Men of Excellence. I would say, definitely since I've been at Springfield, and I would say really over these last 2 years, they've been a club on campus that's grown a lot. They've done a lot of really positive initiatives. I think they've tried to make really positive change on campus. So having worked as closely with them as you did and gotten to know some of those guys, have you been kind of proud to see the work they've done the past couple of years and some of the things they've kind of strived towards as a club on campus?
Absolutely, absolutely. What I've seen, the growth of these young men, really having some hard conversations, and you know, really, they talk about men of excellence, but this pursuit of excellence, and just the level of camaraderie they've been able to share with each other. They created a brotherhood, if you will, and it's not just brothers of color, but they have white students there, and just really promoting excellence academically, socially. And one scenario that really, really impressed me was we had a meeting and one person had to leave because they had an exam, and one of the other brothers said to each other, "Hey, you got this. Go ace it." So really providing that level of support. And again, as I mentioned earlier, just their ability to give back to the community. So they're very community service oriented. Some of the students have gone to the high school. I know they do some landscaping work around the community, but they have done some work with nonprofit organizations and helping out, and also just going into the schools and saying, "Hey, listen, I want to be a mentor for inner city urban youth of how I could sort of inspire them to realize that there's life after whatever adversity they're experiencing, that they too can go to college." So I'm just really so positively overwhelmed with what I've seen, and I'm just happy that I've been able to be a source of support with these young men, and to see their growth and development over the years is really gratifying.
Yeah, they're definitely doing some really amazing work within the community too. We'll post all their information below in this episode. And then shifting gears just a little bit, so we mentioned that you're from Springfield, you went to the college, you got a degree from there. Sure, in that time you kind of learned more about what the school is all about, some of its philosophy. Then you came back to become a professor here. So after you'd been around the school for a while and kind of known its principles and everything else, was being distinguished professor of humanics ever an aspiration for you? Was it something you wanted to have the opportunity to do, or was that not really the case until you were actually named as professor of humanities?
I was really humbled and honored by the award. I remember talking to receiving a message from Dr. Potvin, the provost, and she wanted me to get in contact with her. And I just thought, oh my goodness, what do I do? What did I do? Am I in trouble? And she was telling me about it. And I remember her saying, well, do you want the award? Because I was just so overwhelmed and gratified with the prospects of choosing me for such an award. So I'm really proud of my job. I love my job that I do, training the next generation of social workers. But I also do a lot of community service and actively involved in my community. So to win this award, I was just gratified. I never ever thought about being a distinguished professor of humanics. I know several distinguished professors of humanics. So for me, getting the award was very, very gratifying. And also, I really wanted to do something that was meaningful. So I didn't want to create or build a new wheel, if you will. But I wanted to do something that I could sort of grow and develop and augment what I was already doing in the community. So working with both the Men of Excellence at SE and also working with the Men of Excellence at Renaissance High School, and also the work that I was doing with 100 Meals to College. That was something that was very interesting, something that I had a passion with. So I was very, very proud. Being a Springfield native is that um, Springfield College is really an oasis. It's really a gem, and not many people in the community they know Springfield or has a good reputation. But I'm glad to see that this college is starting to become more diverse and utilize and have more students from the community that come to Springfield College. So that's very gratifying. I just know how it truly transformed my life. You know, coming to campus when I was 17 years old, and having great professors, learning about humanities philosophy, being able to give back. After graduating from Springfield College, I was able to matriculate into the University of Pennsylvania. At that time, I didn't even know it was an Ivy League school, and was able to successfully complete my degree after 2 years there at the University of Pennsylvania. I was going to stay in Philadelphia. I had a job lined up, but decided to come back home. So came back home, worked as a school social worker, and then I worked as a principal. Did some work, part-time work, as a therapist, and started working after being a counselor, after being an assistant principal, and then a principal. Went back to school at Springfield College, received my CADS degree, and then entered UMass Amherst, thinking I wanted to be a superintendent or director of guidance. Started doing adjunct teaching, absolutely fell in love, was working at Smith College School for Social Work, and started applying for teaching jobs. And so fortunate that Springfield College, the MSW program, had an opening, interviewed, and this is where I've been. This is my 9th year. So I'm really happy to be here, the job I love, and the community I love. And I think Springfield College is a unique place, and it's a place where I've grown personally, and I aspire to help other people grow and sort of give back and provide, uh, make this world a better place, as Marilyn White Edelman says. Service is the rent we pay for living on this earth, and what can we do to make this world a better place than we found it?
Yeah. Funny that you mentioned when you became professor of humanics, you're here for Martha, and it kind of sounds like you're in trouble in a way. I know, as I talk to all these humanics professors, it's kind of like a horror story at first because you think something's wrong, but then they actually tell you good news. I feel like you got to find a way to make that process a little smoother and less intimidating because it really is a nice element when it comes down to it.
Well, you try to do good work, and it's almost like being a principal. People don't like being called to the principal's office. So
Yeah,
when you get the provost call you, you're like, oh my goodness, what did I do? And I didn't do anything wrong at all. But initially, I was just shocked, you know. So,
yeah,
yeah. But what a great honor, and what great people who have been a part of humanities. And I'm just honored to be a part of the humanics award winners over the years.
yeah. And I wanted to ask you, because in talking to other people at the college about you, one of the things that tends to come up pretty quickly is that you're a very big family guy. Family's very important to you. So I wanted to ask how much your family kind of motivates you to do the sort of work that you do, and if they play a really big factor in you wanting to be a positive role model, because the theme of family is one that comes up again and again.
Well, thank you. That's a great question. And one thing I want to say is I give a lot of tribute and honor to my grandmother. I was raised by my grandmother, and so my grandmother had 10 kids. So for her to take me and my sister in really meant a lot to me. So family is very important to me. I would also say I'm married. My wife Renee, she's been a tremendous support to me. I remember, going through grad school and they had our first child, and she really held it down. So I know that as an African American male, it's a lot of challenges, and you can be targeted. But also, I noticed I have privileges as well, and I think having a very supportive wife was really big instrumental. I have two daughters. I have a daughter who attends first year in college at J University, and also tried to get her to come to Springfield. But I don't know if she wanted to be in Dr. Hill's shadow or hear people say, that's Dr. Hill's daughter. But she's happy. It was her choice to go to JPAC, so that's where she is. But I sort of groomed her at an early age to come to Springfield. I had all the gear, all the sweatshirts and sweatpants and all the paraphernalia. But she's happy where she is. I also have another daughter who's a seventh grade middle school student. So hopefully we can get her to come to Springfield College as well. But yeah, family is very important for me. I'm very grateful for my wife who really held it down. And we really work as a team, as a partnership. And I know they're very proud of me. And I couldn't do what I do without the love and support and assistance that I get from my family.
Yeah, that's good. One of the last things I wanted to ask you was, so your time as English professor of humanics is coming to an end, as everyone's does. But what kind of related work are you continuing to do now, or maybe what you kind of have your sights set on in the future? Because even as the title ends, I think everyone involved with Springfield College kind of has something they want to work on in that regard in the future. So do you have anything like that right now?
Yeah, I still want to continue working with healthy masculinity. I think that's an issue that we continue to work on. I also do a work in schools, so my background is as a school social worker and as a principal. So I do a lot of consulting work with regards to uh, building equitable and inclusive schools. So that's something else that I'm also a part of. Just most recently, starting this 2021, I started a position as the department chair of the social work department here. So now it's a more of an administrative role. I still teach, but I still have more of an administrative role in the department. So as far as scheduling, as far as brainstorming, problem solving with students, enrollment, evaluation. So for me, I still get a chance to make presentations on leadership, on healthy masculinity, on providing equitable and inclusionary schools, but also taking on the role of being an administrator now, which is similar to what I did when I was a principal or when I was the higher ed official in another institution. So I'm really excited. I think my work has over the years have prepared me for such a role, and I'm really excited to be working at Springfield College. I know we have a lot of issues as far as the COVID-19 and just trying to get back to a level of stability. But really, I think we're at a crossroads of really examining how we can be more equitable, how we could have a more just society, a more humane society. So I'm really excited to be here at Springfield College, and I look forward to all the challenges that are ahead.
Yeah, awesome. Good to hear. And before we sign off and let you go, I'm just gonna have you tell the listeners real quick who's gonna be on for the next episode after this.
Well, for the next guest in this series is Dr. Sue Dyer, and she is outstanding. She truly leads Springfield College as far as her service, as far as she's well known, well liked by so many on this campus and does such amazing work. So Dr. Sue Dyer is the next person on the next episode.
So we're looking forward to that, but I want to thank you for coming on today. And it was nice to hear your story being a person who was from Springfield, decided to stay around the area, and now is teaching at the same school where you received one of your degrees. I think in the line of humanics professors that I'm going to go through and talk to, that's definitely a unique position that you're in. And it's nice to hear that you enjoyed your time as professor of humanics and you feel like you made a positive impact, because I'd say at the end of the day, that is what it's all about.
Thank you, Daniel. This is very a fun conversation. The questions made me think, and I hope it was enjoyable for you. It definitely was enjoyable for me, and I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me.